Yo guys, what is going on? Blossoms back. Welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. We got a brand new tag, pretty special one because it's not really surrounding like a real life theme. It's more surrounded towards Top Drives lore, and I think that's actually kind of cool. It's Gaz's collection. These are the cars in, I guess, Gaz's garage, right? If you don't know, Gaz is like the first boss that you encounter when you play the game. I'm sure everybody knows, and I still think that it's a little bit strange that his Caterham is not included in the collection. Now, if you want to be really accurate to, I guess, the Top Drive storyline, Gaz doesn't own that Caterham anymore because he lost it to you, and you have it now. But like, still, you know, I feel like the car is synonymous with him, and I feel like it should be in, you know, the tag. But anyway, I want to talk about the tag. I want to talk about the cars and what you can get from the carbon fiber and see if it's something worth opening or not. Now, I would say straight off the bat, we got some positives with this tag, I think. It's not like the previous ones where you're being forced to play with shit. The cars here, I would say there's a decent amount of pretty good cars here, right? Not only that, but it utilizes OG cars as well. Not just the newest and brightest ones, but like some cars that have been in the game since the beginning, and maybe some cars that may have lost their way, cars that we have not used since like Great Exhibition in like 2020 to late maybe 2021, something around that range. Think about it this way. If you are a brand new Top Drives player, okay, not brand new, maybe you've been playing for like the last year and a half, maybe the last 2 years, and you might even be a pay to win. You might have unpacked some cards like the Aston Martin Vanquish Zagato, the Lotus Evora 410, and you would have never experienced how much value those cars could have brought you back in the day in, like, let's say 2020 when Great Exhibition came out. Now remember, back in the day, in 2020, 4 years, I'm not sure if that's enough to say back in the day, but those two cars used to be considered a legendary. Remember that? When this Evora had like a 97 MRA or something like that? It was insane. And I feel like since then, you know, once, you know, Great Exhibition became a pretty old update, it wasn't the newest thing anymore, those cars weren't used anymore. So if you were a newer player, you might have not had the chance to use those cars, especially if you want to pack them on the way. So it's nice to see a utilization of kind of like newer cars, some older cars, somewhere in between. That's pretty cool as well. And one other positive thing I want to say is that it's okay, like it's pretty decently balanced. I don't think it's that bad. An example is the 5 RQ50 cars that you can pack here: the Aston, the TVR, the Lotus, the TVR again, and the Bristol Blenheim, or also known as the No-Nose car. They're not terrible in this tag against each other. Let me show you. So over here, as you can see, these are all the Gaz collection Ultra-Airs over like a twisty and fast scenario, and every car is the best at something. The Europa is the best at G-force, your karting, your slalom. You got the TVR, which is the best at the fast circuit, the Canyon Tour. You've got the TVR Griffith, if you get that at 332. It's the best at the quarter mile, the half mile, the Aston Martin Vantage, the best at the 1 mile, the Test Bowl, and of course, No-Nose car being the best at car park, hairpin indoor karting. So when you compare the tag within each other, I would say it's pretty decently balanced, and I'm just using RQ50s as an example. But overall, you know, when you want to compare it in a general sense, all of these cars just end up being kind of useless anyway. I'm going to put it up against 2 British Super Rares, okay? Significantly cheaper to fully upgrade and even to collect. Lotus Sprint wins everywhere, besides the No-Nose taking the hairpin, and of course the Lotus taking twisty, Vantage taking fast, and then the TVR taking fast circuit rolling, which is still pretty cool because you see all the cars from the tag actually winning something. And then you bring in the Aston, and it kind of just shuts everything down. So the only cars that kind of walk away with their heads held high against those 2 Super Rares would maybe be like the Lotus Europa on twisty circuit only, TVR SEAC on fast circuit rolling and canyon only. Like, the Super Rares just look a lot better than the Ultra Rares, which is not a good look for the Ultra Rares. Then if I were to just to compare them to Ultra Rares, let's go against 2 British specialists. We've got a British specialist Twisty, we've got a British specialist Drag. That kind of narrows things out even more. We're bringing the Charger, we're bringing the Alpha, and all you kind of have left is, okay, TVR is still good on canyon, which is pretty cool. You got the Bristol, which is still good on hairpin, and the Europa, which is still good on twisty circuit. But at the end of the day, the Lotus and the Aston bring more value than a lot of these Ultras anymore. One thing about the No-Nose car, though, is that it's actually the second best RQ50 in the entire game. on the hairpin road, which is pretty cool, and it also goes to show that the Citroen Saxo is a little bit broken at RQ50. 44.04. I mean, that's a massive difference between first and second. Looking at the differences between maybe second and third, or third and fourth, I mean, these all tie, right? So maybe second and third, which is like 0.02, and then 0.01 difference, and 0.02 more difference, or 0.05 difference between, you know, these cars. And then you've got the Citroen Saxo, which is just like miles ahead in terms of time. So let's talk about the cars. So, like I said earlier on, I think that within Gaz's collection, I would say that the cars are pretty balanced. They are going to have their own specialty. They're all going to have their own use. But in a general sense, these cars aren't going to be that good. So, let's talk about the Blenheim and let's talk about the Europa. I think that both of these cars require some criteria, but they are decent 50s as long as you know where to put them. And I gotta say, it's a big glow up for the Bristol, because that car used to be like hot garbage in my opinion. Like, I did not care for it at all. But the game has changed now, right? If you are just good at one track set, and in the Bristol's case, hairpin for RQ50s, then you will bring some value at this point, because, you know, nowadays there are too many cars in the game where you can't really compare them outside of not even their RQ neighborhood. You're just comparing them within their own RQ of RQ50. So in that really stringent, by those really stringent rules, I would say that the Bristol and the Europa stands out within the 50s. Some of the weakest ones would probably be the TVR and the Aston DB7, with the 420 SEAC just slightly overrated. At the end of the day, I think all of these cars are kind of slightly overrated at the least, because they are getting gapped by the Lotus Sprint Super Rare as well as the Aston Martin DB3S. I will consider bringing these two cars down one, honestly. I'll think about that, but for now I'll put them here. Aston Martin DB7 GT and Rapide. So again, I'm just going to go through all these ultras with the same kind of common sense that I've been using for the RQ50s. Again, as always, for this video, I'll be using my experience on how to judge these cars. I've been playing this game for over 7 years, so you can trust me or not, that's up to you guys, but this is my personal opinion. And honestly speaking, I have every single car here fully upgraded for the ultras. I've used them before. I know how much I use them or how much I don't use them. The Astons are next, and honestly, they're all at least severely overrated, if not worse. I'm going to put the DB7 GT down one. I mean, as an ultra rare, if you are under that, you know, 81, 82 handling mark, I feel like you're kind of redundant. The Rapide and Vantage, they are a hybrid, jack of all trades, master of none. You're not really going to use them that much. Same thing with the V8 Vantage N400. I remember at the peak of Great Exhibition, the Vantage N400 over here, I think that was like an RQ60 or 59 or something like that, and it was one of the better Aston Ultra Rares. But honestly speaking, as much as I love the brand, Aston is a little bit like Morgan in a sense, where they're all kind of just the same. They're all kind of just jack of all trades. They will lose to specialists. You know what I mean? So that's the only issue. I think I would move the N400 up one just because it handles a little bit better. And it is lighter than the Rapide as well. I think, if I remember correctly, slightly better MRI. Actually, I can double check because I have Top Drive's Club open, and this time I think I did not miss out a single car. Again, these Astons, the MRI is not that high. 73.09, slightly better, literally by 0.5. That's it. That's literally it. It's so small. Okay, let's get into the Morgans, right? These Morgans, again, they don't bring too much value. I think the Morgan Plus 4 is decent. For an RQ53, it has good stats, 4.480. I mean, it's very similar stats compared to Morgans that are 10 RQ higher. All these Morgans I'm going to put in severely overrated. The Aero 8 even, bro, they made it the only option. The Jaguar XJR 4.2S is a car that I like a lot because it has 87 MRA. And, you know, as a drag spec car, it might be able to get you a little bit of value as a Jaguar in Jaguar events back in 2020, but now in 2024 there are a couple Jags that used to be epic, like the XKR 175 that used to be epic, that have gone down to ultra rare, which kind of, you know, renders the XKR 4.2 kind of useless. Like, this used to be an RQ59, and now it's a 54. It used to be a mid-range ultra rare, now it's a lower range ultra rare. Again, it's a jack of all trades, master of none. I think it's severely overrated at best. Requires some criteria. It's kind of teetering on the same range with the Astons. I guess the only thing that the Jaguar has a little bit higher in terms of value is that MRI, 87 MRI. You know, I'm gonna bump it up one. Because look at these two cars side by side. It's almost similar handling, almost similar 0 to 60. Aston is better in 0 to 60 in handling, but same RQ, same top speed, XKR, 10 more MRA. It knows what it wants to be. It's more of a dragster. I'll put it up one. Requires some criteria. The Mulzahn Walter Owen edition. Yeah, bro, they made the only option. Caterham 7 310R. Versatile. I think it's good. It's no Zenith, right? It's no 340R, but it's still good. Respectable. Ford Focus SDS State Mountain handles really well. It's actually one of the best handling Ultras. I think the second best handling Ultra that we've seen so far, right? At 84 behind the Caterham. And on top of all of that, it's medium ground clearance. Pretty good. Sierra Cosworth, I don't know, it's severely overrated. I don't use this car a lot. I know it's four-wheel drive, I know it's medium, but the on-paper stats leave very little to be desired. The Jetta G60 requires some criteria. I think the MRA on this car is actually somewhat decent, 85. But again, still a bit of a hybrid. 0 to 60 on the weaker side of 4.9, 0 to 60. Top speed isn't that high as well. Okay, moving on. S-Type, that is bro, they made it the only option. XJ, bro, they made it the XJR, same thing. XKR 175, I'll say versatile. It's got a really good MRA. If I remember correctly, it's somewhere towards the 90s. 95, which is very high, actually. Then we have the all-surface tire cars. I mean, that's trash. And the Velar's a little bit better. Also requires some criteria, mainly because it's one of the better Range Rovers all-surface tire Ultra Rears. Moving on is a TBR. TBR Chimera, again, I think this one came in log to log, never used it, severely overrated. I don't think it's completely useless, but it's severely overrated. Vauxhall GTC VXR, another one. It reminds me of the Mountain in a sense, but I actually cannot remember if this car is medium. I think it actually is medium. 63 MRA, traction control, and ABS. It is medium. I'm gonna put it on the same range with the Ford Focus. They are pretty similar, but you know, just one RQ separating those two cars. Moving on, Vauxhall Insignia VXR Unlimited. Also, I think some people might disagree, but I'm gonna put it and require some criteria. I feel like there are not a lot of Vauxhalls with four-wheel drive and medium ground clearance. I might be severely wrong there, because Vauxhall is just kind of one of those brands that you kind of just forget exist. It used to be an Epic, right? That used to be a Jared. That used to be 65. But just speaking of, you know, memory of my personal experience with this car, I have used it. It's not completely useless. Now move on to the Epics. The AC Cobra, I mean, this thing it's way more than severely overrated. This thing needs to go down to Ultra Rare for it to get a revive in the game. The Aston Martin Vanquish Zagato, I would say, requires some criteria. I don't even think it's versatile. It's a hybrid. 99 handling. It used to be a legend even, but it's just that the bar for epics, it's so high now. There's so many epics in the game that are lighter than the Vanquish, that handle better than the Vanquish, that has better MRA than the Vanquish. The top speed of the Vanquish does stand out, but the MRA on this thing isn't the best thing in the world. It's not bad, but it's not fantastic either. I think it's in the low 80s. If I remember correctly, let's go up and check VAR. Not even. High 70s, very low 80s, 79, which is, it's just not good enough, right? If you want a twisty car, don't use this. Even though it has 89 handling stock, 99 when you max it out. Just use the Caterham 420 Cup, which in my opinion is highly versatile. Really good car, incredibly light, handles really well. Only thing setting it back maybe is a slick tire Caterham, and all the other Caterhams that it's competing against are either standard or performance tires. So you can't use them in the rain. This one you can't. Moving on, Ford GT70. I'm gonna say versatile. Medium ground clearance. It's from the 70s. I use it, you know, time and time again in that one daily event. I think it's pretty versatile if you ask me. Comes back time and time, right? Jetta F400, severely overrated. I just don't use it a lot. Lotus Elise Sprint, I would say requires some criteria. Again, it's very, very light, handles very, very well. The Lotus Evora GT, ooh. I'm gonna put it and require some criteria. Again, only difference is Hutch has a track record of making events go RQ70 and below. So if they do make an event like that, then the Evora GT would be the benchmark, right? Then with the Evora S, that is severely overrated. The Sport 410, I'm gonna put that alongside requires some criteria, I would say. It's really sad because this used to be a legendary and now just a mid-tier epic, literally. The Exige S LF1, 3.7 ATA. I want to like this car a lot. and I think it does bring value. I think it's a good one. I'll put it in versatile. It's lighter, I believe, compared to the Evoras. It's a bit more nimble. Doesn't handle as well as the 410, but it has a lower 0 to 60. SLR McLaren 722. I'm gonna put that in versatile as well. I feel like I'm being a little bit too lenient putting it there. I don't think that these cars are bad. I think at the very least, a lot of these cars are very average. I'll put it in versatile for now, I might bring it down. Tuscan S, bro, they made it the only option. Ultima Spider, severely overrated. It's got really good MRI, but no top speed to back it up. The lower end legends, the AC, the Arash, they're all just trash. The Bentleys as well, just absolutely terrible. Why would you ever use them? But, oh, and the Rover, right? The Rover, just all, no, it's just not a fancy sight. The thing is, right, it's a bit cruel, but they went with the lower range Bentleys for this. They are better Bentleys to use. They are probably going to be useful in the challenge. Like if there's wet in the final levels, then you're going to want to use their 4-wheel drive. I think that's going to be useful in the Gaz challenge, but in a general sense, which is how I'm judging it, they're not very useful, honestly. At most, I could bump it up one, but I'm not going to do so. 620R, highly versatile. Aerial Atom 4, slightly worse than the 7620 in some cases, like Slalom, but still a good car. I'm going to put it in versatile. 600 LT Coupe, I'm going to say highly versatile. The 650 GT3, ooh, I don't know if it's highly versatile. I think it's versatile. And the reason for that is that if I were to compare it against other slick tire legendaries within this RQ neighborhood, the 650S, if I remember correctly, is not the end-all be-all. It's okay, slightly above average within its RQ. Maybe even average for an RQ90. So for that, I'm going to put it in versatile. What are the real standouts? I think every single Radical is a standout because specialist cars are basically what wins you and makes a difference in top drives nowadays, and Radicals are just all specialist cars. They're all ridiculously light, they all handle very well, low 0 to 60s, can't go wrong with that. The McLaren GT as well as the Ultima, almost called that a Radical, I think all of these cars are versatile. They're not terrible, they're not amazing either. You know, they're good. They're good cars. There's a better Ultima to use, there are better McLarens to use, and even for the GT3s, if you can use the 650S, then many times you might be using the 720S as well, which ironically they omitted from this challenge. So the 650S is the only one you can use. You can't even use the 12C GT3, right? So it's curated, but I think overall it's a pretty average tag. Like, it's not that bad. Yes, there are some garbage in here, but then again, some of them are legends, so you might be happy pulling it just because you pulled a legend. I don't know, things like the AC and the Arash, I'm waiting for those cars to go down to Epic. It's about time. Even the Continentals, they could go down to Epic. I'm very interested. Let's go for a bonus time change here, right? Clear cars. I just want to see. I think the Bentley might still win. But if I were to compare it against, like, let's put in a Taycan, for example. Let's put in a couple of Taycans. Let's put in Porsche 4-wheel drive, whatever it is. Oh, yeah, 911 Carrera 4 Cabriolet was the one I'm thinking of. And let's bring in the BMW, right? The blue i8. So we're bringing these 4 cars, and I'm just curious to see how the legendary Bentleys go up against those epics. So we have this one, we have this one, and what is the last Bentley that's being included in this tag? It's the 83. Okay, it's the 83. So the 83, this one. Okay, so let's put the times down, right? So obviously we have the fully upgraded times. We're bringing the 80 first. Yeah, so the epics are better. Yeah, so yeah, these cars could definitely go down. I mean, this one could definitely go down to an epic. Let's put in this one. Again, trading blows with the BMW i8, but to be fair, not a lot of times for the Bentley Continental GT, so we don't know how it compares on the drags. The owner just didn't care. And then last but not least, we have the Continental GT V8, which again, you know, a lot of the owners didn't really put down. Okay, it's interesting though, but one thing to do take note is on Slalom, the i8's still the better car. On G-Force, the i8's still the better car against some fully upgraded cars over here. Not a lot of times though for these two, so we can't really see, but definitely the 80 could go down to being an epic. But anyway, guys, Gaz Collection, I think it's alright. I think it brings a pretty diverse range of cars. You know, the variety is pretty decent. It's a lot better than the recent tags we've been getting. And for that reason, I think that this is a positive. Will I open the pack? I still wouldn't, and that's mainly because as an OG player, I do have a lot of these older cards already, so I don't need to get them because I already have them. And I think that's one of the main reasons why Hutch might be afraid to release tags with older cards, because they might be afraid that they might make less revenue because older players have a lot of these cards already. But come on, man, you gotta think about variety. This is a game that prides itself on 4,700 cards, and you know, every single one should have a use, you know? And if you are a newer player, like I said at the start of the video, if you started playing in 2022, 2023, you might have unpacked these cards and you've never had the chance to use them. So now, this is the time to use them. You know what I mean? So, anyway, that's gonna be it for today. Let me know what you think about the tag down in the comments below. I think it's okay. I honestly think it's okay. Hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and Blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax, and